how do I put this gently? Christmas movies suck. Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if, Elf was a pivotal part of your childhood or whatever, but I just can't take it anymore. I'm tired of the annual parade of faux schmaltz which smothers TV stations and streaming services every winter. I'm tired of movies which pay lip service to themes of generosity and goodwill while simultaneously wallowing in the crassest consumerism imaginable. I'm tired of nostalgia-poisoned Zoomers and millennials insisting Ron Howard's The Grinch is a classic, a film so mean-spirited, visually hideous, and fundamentally opposed to the good-natured optimism of Dr. Seuss's original story that it sickens even me. Don't get me wrong, there are some good Christmas movies. I'm not such a Scrooge that I can't find joy in the hopeful affirmation of It's a Wonderful Life, or tender beauty in the storybook animation of The Snowman. Hell, part of the reason I so thoroughly loathe Howard's Grinch is because of how much I love the classic Chuck Jones cartoon. There is also one Christmas film that stands above the rest, a story of family conflict and catharsis, so powerful it resonates with children and adults, and has done so for decades. I am of course referring to Fanny and Alexander, a brilliant Christmas movie and further expression of Ingmar Bergman's mastery over a diversity of genres. But amidst these holiday gems is a snowstorm of garbage, and that's before even getting into the onslaught of Hallmark movies, which at this point must be approaching Sharknado levels of self-parody. I suspect a great deal of the push to christen Die Hard a Christmas movie stems not just from the obvious edgelord appeal of celebrating Christmas with guns and violence, but the fantasy of spending the holidays watching a movie that's actually good. And I love Die Hard, but Die Hard alone is not enough to build an alternative Christmas cinema. We need something more. More moving, more obscure, more edgelordy, more snow. Snow westerns are the best Christmas movies. I came to this realization last year when Criterion Channel curated a playlist of snow westerns for December. Watching through the films was the closest I'd ever come to grasping the true meaning of Christmas. Turns out, I didn't need an after-school special about believing in Santa Claus. I needed stories of heroism in the face of adversity, be it the hostility of the elements or the avarice of humanity. Links to more traditionally accepted Christmas movies are abundant in snow westerns. Just as It's a Wonderful Life defines evil in the valuing of profits over people, so too does The Great Silence. Just as The Grinch tells the story of a potentially nefarious character finding acceptance in a snowy community, so too does The Secret of Convict Lake. Just as Ebenezer Scrooge is forced into spiritual confrontation with his mortality and sins in A Christmas Carol, so too is William Blake in Dead Man. Westerns broadly share a great deal with Christmas, both concepts defined by traditions, built on a combination of history and myth-making, so irrevocably folded into each other, it's difficult to parse where truth ends and fiction begins. Both also owe a great deal of their influence and cultural reach to Hollywood. To quote Mark Connelly's introduction to Christmas at the Movies, the reason why Christmas is known everywhere is simple: cinema. Cinema has shown people what the festival of Christmas is like, particularly how it is celebrated in America. Cinema has likewise shown people around the world what the West was like, particularly how it has been conceptualized by American filmmakers. It's those films which provided the inspiration for a generation of Italian directors, many of whom had never even stepped foot in the Western United States, to create their own impressions of the genre. Consider too another Connelly quote: "The values of Christmas have become those of America, and vice versa." And think about how easily Christmas could be replaced in that sentence with Westerns. And just like the Western, Christmas movies are loaded with violence. That's certainly evident in the collection of Christmas set action movies, popular since at least the 1980s and arguably even longer, but also in more straightforward Yuletide fare. From Kevin McAllister's Stand Your Ground home protection against the wet bandits, to Clark Griswold's rage-fueled monologue about how much he hates his boss, the classic Christmas movies, rerun annually on cable, are full of pain. Even Santa Claus bashes someone in the head in the original Miracle on 34th Street. Yeah, get his ass, Santa! These Christmas films, and many others, ultimately affirm themes of family and joy and togetherness by the end, but only after expressing the stress and chaos of the Christmas season in scenes of violent outburst. So while it might seem downright heretical to celebrate Christmas with cowboys and six-shooters, Westerns do in fact parallel Christmas movies, and snow Westerns bring those parallels to a meteorological level. The presence of bountiful, white fluffy snow is far and away the strongest Christmas association in snow Westerns. It's arguably the only visual association in the genre, as you certainly won't find Christmas lights or presents in snow Westerns. But snow in and of itself is a key staple of the holiday season. Images of Christmas have so thoroughly linked Christmas time to snowfall and white blanketed landscapes that they've become a cornerstone of the holiday, even in parts of the world where it doesn't even snow in December. Those same visual signifiers define the snow Western, and are powerful enough to evoke a Christmas atmosphere by themselves. The way snow is integrated in snow Westerns is also meaningful to the holiday. If you grew up somewhere with seasonal snowfall, your opinion of snow has likely evolved a great deal. As a child, snow is pretty magical. A playground for games and imagination, linked in your brain to gifts and time off school. If it snows enough, you might not have to go to school at all. Huzzah! A snow day! What a lovely thing. But as you grow older, the snow turns from this magical substance of fun into an obstinate pain in the ass. Snow means work, shoveling driveways and scraping car windows. It means being cold and having to bundle yourself under layers of winter garments whenever you go outside. Snow brings with it ice, which means slipping all over the place as you desperately try to avoid falling on your face. Oh, what's that? Weather's so overwhelming you don't feel safe commuting? Tough shit, get to work. Slowly but surely, the joyous wonder of snowfall fades into a distant memory. This same transformation occurs to Christmas itself. What was once a time of magic and wonder for the child becomes an itinerary of additional responsibilities for the adult. Extra work designed paradoxically to allow for comfort and relaxation. Is there joy in some of these rituals? Sure, but not without cost. The great thing about snow Westerns is they appeal to childlike wonder and to the embittered adults those children have become. On one level, the snow is beautiful. The serenity of gentle snowfall is even more pronounced when juxtaposed against the brutal violence of the West, and those pure white landscapes are jaw-dropping. That a ton of snow Westerns also have flat-out majestic music, whether score by the great Ennio Morricone or a collection of Leonard Cohen songs, just makes the snowy imagery all the more beautiful. On another level, though, conflicts in snow Westerns are magnified tenfold by the brutal winter conditions. Sometimes this is emphasized in the plot, as in Day of the Outlaw, where the hero's plan is to lure the villains through a snowy mountain range, hoping the elements will whittle down their numbers. In other snow Westerns, the brutality of winter is less firmly emphasized, but persistently observed. Blizzards and chilling winds are not unique or even noteworthy obstacles, but they are constant, always making life just that little bit harder. Anyone who's ever broken their fall into a snowbank with gloveless hands will relate to the frustration those conditions add to McCabe's desperate cat-and-mouse chase against his assassins. And speaking of winter burdens, let's talk about the seasonal tension in fashion and function. Despite the core Christmas aesthetic of beautiful lights, decorations, and picturesque small towns, actually dressing for the snow is something of an ordeal. The struggle to stay warm, dry, and slip-proof makes it difficult to also look good. Now personally, I'm content to just give up and put all my efforts towards being bundled, but if you're more fashionable, snow westerns have got your back. The genre offers a parade of the tightest winter fits imaginable. The MVP is most certainly McCabe's furs, but kudos as well to Robert Mitchum's Father Christmas look in Track of the Cat. Perhaps these factors align snow westerns with winter more generally rather than Christmas specifically, but both Christmas and the snow western transform the season's hardships into cause for celebration. The mounds of snow which make traversal so taxing become fodder for play and imagination, or for amplifying the beauty and excitement of Western action. But perhaps the most Christmassy aspect of the snow western is simply that snow is atypical in westerns in the first place. The genre is dominated by arid deserts, dusty towns, and scorching suns, and it's exciting when those typical aesthetics are inverted. The mere presence of snow in a western is a treat, even when the movie in question is actually kind of lousy. The core of that pleasure is the shake-up to otherwise familiar routine, and Christmas brings with it a similar pleasure. More than the presents or the eggnog, it's the break from normalcy which makes Christmas special. Snow westerns are likewise a break from the normalcy of the western. That such a break comes wrapped in a defining aesthetic of Christmas movies is a nice holiday bonus. And what's great about these pleasures is they won't be shoved in your face by the annual Christmas marketing blitz until the end of time. This isn't even an argument against consumer culture. It's an argument against repetition to the point of annoyance. Is Elf really so bad that it deserved the shade I threw at it at the beginning of this video? No, I was doing a bit. Is Elf good enough that I want to be reminded of it every year? No, it is not.
24 hours of Elf.
What kind of sick freak wants that much Elf in their life? I mean, really, who? Snow westerns will never be the Christmas staple. They're too offbeat, too peculiar a subgenre. And that's why they're perfect. These are films which can speak to the same joys and needs of Christmas movies proper without having to bear the cultural weight of being a Christmas movie. So, as you sit by a warm fire on a chilly Christmas Eve, pondering what movie to watch, consider skipping the usual Yuletide classics, and instead cozying up to The Great Silence, a film which combines the bloody violence and excitement of a diehard with the moral righteousness and self-sacrificing hero of It's a Wonderful Life, and with a dash of Christ imagery thrown in for good measure. The ending is certainly a lot less hopeful than either of those movies, but surely this too is a good thing. After all, if the values which Christmas celebrates, generosity, charity, goodwill, are truly virtuous, then they are aspirational even when they result in tragedy. Which is not to say every snow western ends in darkness. There are films where virtue wins out, family is restored, and good deeds are acknowledged. But the genre doesn't guarantee these outcomes. Any and all goodness in snow westerns is pursued without the certainty of spiritual fulfillment or material reward. But goodness still is pursued. Even without a Santa Claus to give little treats or generic formulas which ensure all will be set right by the end, virtue endures. In its own way, that is as wholesome as anything in a traditional Christmas movie.